Amigos de 18 minutos, bienvenidos a su programa. Soy Francisco Rodríguez Aguirre, presidente de Smart Speakers, y estoy con mi amigo Mauricio Reynoso.
Encantado, encantado, mi querido Pancho, y con un tema no de actualidades, ya del presente totalmente.
Del presente y que cada vez tenemos que estar más metidos entendiendo qué está pasando para poder estar al frente de nuestras empresas. Bueno, pues voy a presentarles a nuestro invitado del día de hoy, que él es Zack Kass. Es un experto en inteligencia artificial. Él fue Head of Go-to-Market de OpenAI, la empresa desarrolladora del chat GPT. Es un conferencista y un consultor. Zack, thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Zack, how did you get started into artificial intelligence?
I got pretty lucky. I joined a machine learning company in early data science days, so about 2010, that was doing data labeling. So they were early search scientists who had figured out that you could use humans at scale to improve search results by humans ranking those results. I took that job in 2010. I had no idea at the time the velocity that AI would soon improve at, and then went to a large language model company building neural nets for the purposes of translation, and then eventually to OpenAI.
Zach, I wonder, from your perspective, what will be the scope of AI, in particular in our lives, impacting businesses, etc.? Which will be the main challenges and limitations you foresee to understand really what's the scope of AI in our current lives and day-by-day routines?
Yeah, so I think I won't bury the lead. I basically think that the most important technology that humans may ever invent is artificial general intelligence, right? The sort of holy grail of AI is this theory of AI that is capable of any intellectual human task and capable of helping itself invent novel scientific developments. So in theory, AI could be the last technology that humans invent, and henceforth all technologies are actually invented by AI. In that spirit, and I subscribe to that, I think it's very likely that we see an incredible sort of exponential improvement in the human experience, a reduction in suffering, an improvement in general happiness and joy as a result of the advancements in bioscience and life sciences, education, general practices like industry, manufacturing, foodstuffs. Ultimately, I think we're going to see a massive deflationary event in our lives where the cost of goods and services comes way, way down, and it just becomes a whole lot less expensive to live very comfortably and even richly by today's standards. That's not really a hot take. Technology has done that sort of every time. New technologies have lowered the cost of goods and services. I just think this time it's going to happen pretty incredibly at a pretty incredible rate. Look, the challenges are going to be plentiful. I think we're going to need to overcome a compute and energy deficit. We're going to run out of both of those things at the current rate. So we need breakthroughs in compute, and we need breakthroughs in energy and the amount of energy and how we store it. We definitely need to figure out how to policy this technology effectively. How do we pass regulation and enforce regulation that can safely manage AI development, but also not restrict AI development? And I think we need to manage for the risks. And the big risk, I think, is an existentialism. I don't think that AI is going to kill us. I think it's very possible that AI makes us dumber, at least in the short term. If we solve all of the problems in day-to-day life, it's very possible that our brains sort of stop evolving for a little bit. And I think that's, again, a short-term problem, but I think it's something we'll have to figure out. WALL-E, the famous Pixar film, sort of depicts this pretty well. What happens if you solve all your problems? Well, one outcome is you just sort of surrender to, a very mindless life. So that's a long answer, and sort of my prediction for how AI will bend our lives. In the near term, I think you can just expect to see a wave of incredible developments as a result of AI being embedded into all of the existing infrastructure day to day.
I just want to emphasize something that you mentioned, and is we are looking for regulations not to limit the development of the technology, but yes, if I understood well, you really foresee something in terms of regulation, ethics, etc., about AI?
Yeah, so I think basically AI needs to be regulated. And I think we need to figure out how to regulate it effectively. The real risk, in my opinion, here is that we actually regulate the wrong things. So where we should be regulating things like alignment, we instead regulate things like ethics. Who can use the technology and how can it be used? I think there is a risk in all policy that it is overreaching and overbearing. And we should be really, really mindful of passing policy that doesn't make it hard to develop this technology at scale, or use this technology at scale for risks of just sort of policing it out of existence.
Thank you, Zach. How can big companies take advantage of the AI in today's world?
I think that there are basically three things that big companies need to assume. The first is that AI is inevitable, that it is going to change how the world operates at sort of an incredible scale, and they need to move quickly. And this is true for little companies too, but big companies in particular, or they will truly go by the wayside. The second thing they need to do once they've arrived at that conclusion is identify what are the things that they need to build for. What are the things that big companies need to themselves build for, and what can they buy from their vendors? I think there is a trap that companies can fall into where they see a new technology and they assume that they should build all the things that come with it. In actuality, there are probably one or two things that every big company should invest aggressively in with respect to AI. And then they should go to all their technology vendors and put pressure on those companies to install AI into their technologies, because it'll be very easy for big companies to go down lots of rabbit holes, building things like customer service platforms that are unique to them, when in fact, they should just go to their customer service technology provider and ask them for an AI-powered customer service technology.
And Zach, related to this, AI is not only limited or exclusive of large companies. It is also something is widely applied for no matter the size of your company, mid-size, small size, or even schools, etc.
Yeah. Again, I think that the best way to sort of explore AI is to adopt what technology exists today, which there is plenty of. ChatGPT, principally among them, can do a lot of really interesting things and solve a lot of really hard problems for small businesses, medium businesses, students, schools, large companies. It is not hard to imagine how I, as a small business owner, have saved tons of hours every week by using these technologies. And I think that the risk that small businesses will fall into is that they say, well, we can't build things on our own. We don't have the resources that big companies have. Therefore, we can't embrace AI. I think that's very wrong. And there's plenty of tools that exist today that can sort of accelerate business from a growth standpoint and lower costs. And as for schools, yeah, look, I think I tend to believe that education and healthcare will be two of the major, as industries will be two of the major, well, I shouldn't say industries. Healthcare and education as practices will be two of the major beneficiaries. I think their industries will actually be shaken up quite a bit by this technology. I think that we will see a rise of AI-powered tutors, personalized education systems for every individual that knows what they know and how they like to learn and can prescribe really, really interesting education plans to them. And of course, bio and life sciences, I think we're just going to see an explosion of medical breakthroughs in the next few years.
Zack, what do business leaders need to do to take advantage, but as business leaders, for this AI thing?
Yeah, I'll say it again. I think that business leaders need to assume that AI is inevitable, and I don't think waiting on the sidelines is a viable strategy. I think ultimately the hardest part about adopting AI is again going to come down to figuring out what should you buy versus what should you build. But the simplest strategy today, in my opinion, is to explore the tools that exist on the market today, in real ways. I think ChatGPT Enterprise and ChatGPT for Teams, Claude, et cetera, these products, they offer an enormous amount of value to the individual who use them. And I don't think that AI serves as a silver bullet for anything today in business, but I can't imagine running my small business without these tools. And it's hard for me to imagine the amount of cruft, the amount of stuff that exists in large companies that people are paid lots of money to do repetitively. And so my advice to business leaders when I meet with them is go challenge your teams to start using the tools available to them today. Don't wait for your company to build something or for your vendors to build something special. There are a lot of things on the market today that exist that can add really, really tremendous value right away.
And Zack, talking again about scope, etc., do you foresee any boundaries for ChatGPT? I mean, something that could be exclusively for a day-by-day basis routines, or is something that we don't see yet how much, how important can be in our daily basis?
Yeah, I think that we're in the phase of enhanced applications today, and I think ChatGPT has sort of changed the world's understanding of how this technology can work for us. I think it's just going to continue to expand in scope of capability and quality, and eventually get to a point where we can give it a lot of the stuff that we do day to day that doesn't really accrue value or doesn't really inspire us. And I think we've just begun that process.
Zack, Google has Bard and Genesis. What are the difference with the Chat GPT?
Ultimately, these models are all pretty similar. Like Gemini is proving to be pretty similar to GPT-4. Tests are, comparable. Anthropic's Claude is proving pretty similar to GPT 3.5. There are open source models that are, pretty similar to 3.5. So I think basically what we're seeing is that, the industry at large is sort of finding some parity, which is, I think, really important because it creates competition, it creates optionality, it also breeds more innovation, and it reduces the risk of sort of a technological hegemony, right, or monopoly. I don't know that, I can't say that I've used the products, each individual product, enough to tell you the major differences. But ultimately, my advice to people is to explore these products, right? To explore Gemini and to explore Claude, to explore Bard, and see how they work. They're all remarkably capable products.
I really like what you mentioned earlier, Zack, related to ChatGPT should be helping us in day-by-day activities, helping us to really invest time and efforts on those activities that really add value. And I really like that, and I agree with that. Do you foresee any new technologies that we should be aware of?
Well, do you mean within AI or outside?
Within AI.
Yeah. So, I mean, the things on the horizon that are really exciting are probably related to natural language processing. How well can these machines interpret our natural language? And the reason for this is that we are building AI-powered agents, LLM agents, that will actually end up doing work on our behalf. And the extent to which, we could say something as simple as, I need a flight to Mexico City tomorrow. And the LLM-powered agent can go do all that work for us. That's really where this is headed in the not too distant future. And so I think you're going to see a rise in LLM-powered agents as a technology and natural language processing, the ability for a machine to interpret what we're saying and what we actually mean. In addition, I think that we're going to see huge improvements in computer vision and robotics. And there are going to be big breakthroughs probably in the next few years around what physical machines are capable of doing, with respect to AI.
Zack, thank you very much for your time and for all your content. Very practical. And Mauricio?
Thank you very much, Zack. Gracias, Pancho. Fantastic content and things to reflect on.
Great. Thank you both so much.
Amigos, si les gustó el contenido, por favor, compártanlo con sus amistades y denos like en YouTube y en Spotify. Gracias, hasta luego.